think in the industry they call it the gremlins in the system, but there's no gremlins, only fucking Wi-Fi. Just when he was getting on to Ireland as well, oh my God. Melissa, what's going on with this Wi-Fi in Canada? It's rubbish. Beatrice, will you sort out that Wi-Fi over there, because he's really struggling. We'll give him one more shot. We'll see how we get on. There he is, but I think you ended that one, did you?
Yeah, I tell you, just so you're talking about Roy Keane there at the World Cup, yeah.
You went bang. I'm not discussing this. But just, I suppose that time, Kev, because sure we all know this. Sure, we're what? How many years are we on now, and we're still talking about it? It's amazing,
I know.
really.
It is. What we're nearly 20 years ago, aren't we? That's what we're looking at. 18 years ago now.
Still, a fellas arguing in the pub about it, like, you know.
Yeah, it is. It is. You mentioned before that the country goes crazy when we qualify for a major tournament. I think we went extra crazy then, didn't we? It was a mad experience going into it. I mean, I said before, selfishly, honestly, from a total personal point of view, all I wanted to do, as I said before, was playing a World Cup. So I didn't want anything to derail that. I was fully focused on that. You mentioned as well that we went in with a little bit of hope. We did have a hope. The way that we qualified, I think the players that we had, everyone was at the right age. We had a little bit of experience, but we had a lot of youth in the team. Damien was flying. Robbie was flying. Of course, we had the best midfielder in the world in Roy. We had one of the best goalkeepers in world football as well. We had brilliant players throughout with Finnan, with Staunton, Quinn for the experience, as mentioned before as well. We had a mixture of so many different ingredients within that side and that squad, where you're looking at it thinking, we do have a chance. We have a real chance here. And it was derailed a little bit. It probably was at the start. Of course it was. But honestly, once we left Saipan and everything that had blown up, we then flew to Japan to seriously start the training, to go into camp then. I was just kind of like, well, look, what's happened has happened. Things like this happen a lot, not at this scale, but things like this do happen in football clubs and around football teams. I just didn't want to let it derail. I was just like, gone. I'm fully focused on that Cameroon game, and that's all I wanted to do. There was a lot of meetings. We had so many meetings. It seemed to be a meeting every bloody day or every hour. Look, there's a chance Roy might come back. What we're going to do? Are we going to back this? Aren't we? All this sort of thing was going on. It was just crazy. It was surreal. I just wanted to focus on training, get him a rest, and get him prepared for that Cameroon game. And I think a lot of the players did feel like that as well. That yes, looking back at it now, if we had Roy, I think we know. I still stand by my statement that we would have got to a World Cup final. I stand by it 100%. And we had a chance at doing that without him. But I think with him, I think we would have done. And that is the ultimate. I think when you look back at it and you think that is the travesty of it all, that we all missed out. Supporters missed out. I think even Mick missed out. We missed out as players. We probably did. We missed out on an awful lot at that time. So you look back to not to a degree, with a huge element of sadness with how everything went on, with what went on. Sorry.
He was my hero growing up, as with so many, but just how good was he? Like, I'm a massive fan anyway, but just for you playing with him, Kev, against him, with him, the influence he would have had on the squad, because Andy Reid was on the other night and spoke just how good he was, and he said everybody's the intensity lifted 10%, everybody's game lifted. He just had that presence about him. But that what a lot of people, I feel, don't give him the credit for is just how good his passing range was, passing forward between the lines. People think, like you mentioned earlier with Gravison, people think Keane was just going around mincing people, but he was a brilliant footballer.
Yeah. Roy could do that. Roy probably could do everything on a par with everybody. He probably didn't have as big a range of passing as someone like Steven Gerrard. He didn't score the goals that Frank Lampard scored, although he did have that ability certainly in his younger days as well. But he was better in my head. I think he's the best midfielder that I have ever seen through my lifetime, in terms of what he brought to a team. Because as you mentioned, the passing, he wasn't Gerrard in terms of passing, but I think he was a better I think he was braver than Steven Gerrard. I think he was braver on the ball. I think because of the club that Man United were at that time, I think he was prepared to seriously go on that extra mile for teammates. Honestly, I think he was. So. Everyone always talks. The reason why Roy doesn't get mentioned in the greatest Premier League midfield players, which is it's nonsense. He is the best midfield player. Certainly, the best midfielder I would have played against, the best midfielder I would have played alongside, is because he's Irish. That is the only reason why. The simple reason is because he's Irish. I honestly do think his all-round game's better than Gerrard, all-round game better than Lampard, better than Vieira in everything that he used to bring to the team and what he could bring in terms of his all-round ability as well. And I do think that. I think if I was going to pick one player, if I'm picking an all-time Premier League 11, you're picking it round Roy Keane. That goes without saying, because he would bring the extra percent out of the team. Something that you mentioned there that Andy Reid said before. He brings that little extra percent out of his teammates as well. And no other player would have done that. No other player. Individually, there have been better players, and I think he would accept that himself. But I think for what he give to a team, there's no one better than that. And I think that's why he is the best midfield player out of the Premier League era, yeah.
I'm so glad you said that, because I've been arguing about that for a long time, and he is the best in my eyes as well. He's unbelievable. Yeah. What a player. Your second best, I know you told me, was Clinton Morrison, because he just texted in again there saying, what a guy Kevin is, I love him. How good is Clinton? He's a great lad, Clinton.
Clinton was another one that, again, you know, I think we undersell the players that we had around that time as well. Clinton was a brilliant footballer, one of the best players that I would have played alongside with his back to goal, link-up play, absolutely superb. Clinton had a big arse as well, so he could back into defenders. That was it. No, movement, very, very clever, brilliant finisher, brilliant finisher. But we undersell how good he actually was. Clinton was a brilliant footballer, a brilliant player that you could link up with him, but also he had an understanding of the game, a love of the game as well, that not a lot of players do have as well. Clinton was actually obsessed with football. He really was. And
he was obsessed with football and obsessed with bling.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he used to come in. I did room with Clinton, and he liked to tell stories about me making baths from and things like that. I was like his dad. I was like his dad, his brother, his mental health advisor. Honestly, I was everything to him. He'd come back from training, and I know he probably wouldn't mind me saying it, but he was. I think everyone gets it as well. When you come into the Irish setup, you're a little unsure of yourself. I certainly was when I first went into the international setup. I was alongside legends of the Irish game, and you're unsure of yourself. You're lacking a little bit of confidence. You want that little bit of a confidence booster. But Clinton was always on to me. How was I in training today? Was I any good? I go, yeah, you were great. I missed that chance. I missed that 5-yarder and all this sort of thing. But he was honestly, he is a friend. Of course, he's a friend. But honestly, what a player! What a really, really talented player he was.
Yeah, and you came across so many great characters, obviously, in that Irish setup. And you mentioned Robbie Duffer. I'm sure they'll feature again when I ask you about teammates questions. But another record you had as well, Kev, was you scored the first competitive goal in the Aviva Stadium.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until today as well. See, I'm some man for the research, aren't I?
Yeah, so you're doing well. First Irish goal at the Aviva Stadium, yeah. So that's another little bit of history that I've got. And you know what? I think I am the proudest I am, starting playing every game, every competitive game between 99 and 2011. That was my last ever game against Macedonia as well.
Was it 66 games in
66. I believe that's a world record. I think it is a world record.
Incredible.
People say about the record of Billy Wright, but he played 70 consecutive games for England, I think. But they were all friendlies, and it was, and obviously there was no qualification in those days as well, and things that it was a different sort of qualification process. So for me, that was the thing. Honestly, to start every game between 99, I think the first game I started was a Turkey playoff, which was a disaster for us in that game. We had so much heartache playing for Ireland in these playoff games. The Turkey playoff game was the first game I started during that run. The last game was against Macedonia away. So, honestly, I couldn't have wished for anything more than I had playing for Ireland. It was everything and more. We had a lot of heartache. We had a lot of criticism as well. I personally had a lot of criticism as well along the way, maybe rightly so. But you put yourself out there to be shot at, and playing for Ireland was the ultimate. Nothing will ever compare with it. And I said before, you could have laid a Premier League title at my door. You could have laid a Champions League title at my door. Honest to God, playing once for Ireland would top that. And that is the truth. That's the way that I felt when I was a kid, and I now, because it meant everything to me.
I know you're a very proud Irishman, Kev, and it's bursting.
Do you want to say that again?
Which?
Do you want to say that again?
No, I know how proud you are to play for Ireland, and you've had an unbelievable career. That leads me to a question. I'm going to ask you 2 or 3 questions from people that text in, and then I'm going to ask about the players. I won't delay you any longer after that.
No, you've got a bit of time. You're all right. I've messed you around with this Wi-Fi connection here, so you're grand.
No, while you're making out there how proud you are, right, this one will test you from your good friend John Casey, because we all know you love Mayo, and to be fair to EJ Menswear, they have a big connection with all the GA players, and they had
absolutely, Casey will give me a serious tester from the 80s or 90s that I'll never get.
Here's a good one from Casey. Would you much rather see Ireland win the Euros or Mayo win Sam Maguire?
Oh, God. Well, you know what? Honest to God, right, it's proven harder. It's proven harder now for Mayo to win an All-Ireland. That's the thing. Definitely since I've finished, I've been able to follow the team with family and things, and it's been going up for the National League games. It's been brilliant seeing the failures, the near misses, the heartache that we've had. I think at this stage, I don't know. I think we'd all celebrate together more if Ireland won the Euros. So that would maybe just slightly swing it, but it would come close. Seeing Mayo and Sam would be. Would come very, very close, yeah. So, yeah, I'm sure Casey, I've been to a lot of games with John. We go to the games with the families together as well. We've had a lot of fun along the way, but I don't know, I'd love it. Honest to God, I would love it. My dad lived his whole life. My dad was born in 1951. Anyone that follows the GA know that was the last year that Mayo won the All-Ireland. Crabbers is on here. Crabbers came down to Kerry with me last year to watch the Kerry game when they destroyed us in the Super 8s as well, the first game of the Super 8s. My dad was born a week after Mayo won the All-Ireland, and he lived his whole life without seeing Mayo win an All-Ireland. And I honestly say this, I say this genuinely, Dad would have preferred me to play for Mayo than to play for Ireland. Absolutely. He was
really, yeah?
Yeah, definitely would have done. So that is the thing, that he lived his whole life, and that kills me a bit, really, because we managed to, certainly over the last few years, we used to speak about it a lot, and the near misses that we've had over the years as well. So I'm maybe taking his legacy on now as well, and his background on now, and hopefully one day it'll happen. Might not be this year. We don't know if it's going to happen this year at the moment, but it might not be in the next few years. But I think we've got a lot of young players now coming through that will hopefully go on and progress. And in the next 5 or 10 years, hopefully we'll get back to Croker again for an All-Ireland final and give it a good lash, yeah.
I know you're very genuine in that. You love the Gaelic. Here's another really hard one. Brianne wants to know what date you got engaged on. If you get this wrong,
you're you that. Did she message you that?
It was on the EJ's page.
Oh Jesus! Yeah, that was the 4th of February. Yeah, 2 days after Bree's birthday and 3 after mine. Yeah.
Okay, you got it straight away. Look at your Romeo. You're ruining all of us now, Kevin, with these Romeo answers.
I wouldn't say that.
Okay, you've been so good with your time. I'm going to get on to the teammates ones, right, Kev? So
yeah.
I texted you earlier on, and I know you mentioned a lot of players over the years you play with, and it's hard to maybe nail one, but the best player that you played with?
Yeah, I think certainly international level. I mentioned some of the players there early on, Robbie Keane, Damien, and there was a number of players that were standout, real standout at the clubs as well, that went on to have incredible careers. You mentioned Kevin Phillips, Tommy Gravison would have been another big dunk at clubs as well. Antonio Valencia would certainly be right up there when I was with him at Wigan as well. Another super player. But it's got to be Roy. Roy is, I think, certainly the best of his generation, the best midfielder of his generation, the best midfielder that I have ever seen playing the game, and certainly the best I would have played alongside. It's Roy. There's no question in my mind about that. Others, because I watch what he brings to teammates, as again what Andy Reid had said, what he brings to a team, how brave he was on the ball, unbelievably brave on the ball as well. Roy Keane was and is the best that I've ever seen. Yeah.
Okay, I'm delighted you said Roy Keane. The best you played against, Kev?
Who do you want to name? Messi, Ronaldo, Zidane, Henry.
Well,
You
name
can
who you
name them.
want.
I think playing in that Argentina game against Messi, I was directly up against Messi that night. Yeah, and that was great. He only played 45 minutes. I don't think he could be bothered playing as well. But
Well, on that, when I was looking through the notes and stuff today on the Wikipedia page, now someone would want to tell Brianne she's turned into a fine-looking thing the last few months, right? But before that, there's some horror stories about this.
I didn't. I used to cut my own hair. That's what it was. I didn't bother. And now,
yeah, it shows in this picture.
Yeah, I know. Honest to God, yeah.
But the other picture has you up against Messi. So to play against him must have been unbelievable.
Yeah, play against him. I mean, I played against Ronaldo an awful lot more when he was at Man United. So I played against him, so much. Zidane during the French times. Henry was an incredible player. But again, honestly, and being serious now, yeah, they were unbelievably talented individual players. But I'd put Roy alongside them for what he used to bring to a team and how he used to drive Man United. Everyone mentions Scholes as well. Scholes, brilliant player, but Roy was better. Roy was the one that you'd have to stop if you were going to stop Man United, and that was how it was. So, yeah, I could name them. I always say this as well, the best individual performance I have ever seen would have been Rui Costa at the Aviva or at Lansdowne years ago. They battered us and we got a draw. Roy was phenomenal that day as well. Got us a draw. We drew 1-1. Roy scored. Figo was playing that day as well. So I've played against the very best and genuinely have played against the very, very best in the game. I'd have to say Messi because I think Messi's the greatest player I've ever seen. Ronaldo, phenomenal. So yeah, I'd say Messi. Of course, I'd say Messi's the best I've ever played against, yeah.
To be fair, there's some names. I used to love Rui Costa. He was amazing, Rui Costa.
Yeah, Rui Costa,
I was like a young Rui Costa.
You had the mullet. You had the Rui Costa mullet. My favourite player as a kid was Chris Waddle. I used to love Waddle. And, I'd be friendly enough with Waddle now. And I speak to him sometimes and I'm thinking back to watching him when he used to play for Marseille. That's the thing that's in my head. I always remember him playing for Marseille when you used to get the European games on ITV when I was a kid, and the mullet that he had an Alan Cawley mullet as well. So Waddle was another one I used to love watching. Yeah.
Yeah, Waddle was amazing. Okay, Kev, best manager you had?
There's a few. I mentioned a few earlier on as well. Some of the managers. I actually like playing under Paul Jewell when he signed me for Wigan. Moisey for what he brought to me when I was a kid. I think the best manager I had, is maybe surprised. Mick McCarthy would have been another I used to love, and I could make an argument for every one of them. But I think who got the best out of me, I think, was probably Ray Harford, and I only had him for about 6 months. Ray Harford was Kenny Dalglish's first team coach. He's passed away now, Lord have mercy on him. He died of cancer, probably going back 10 or 15 years now, Ray. But brilliant coach. But Ray he signed me for West Brom, and I said I'd then become West Brom's first £1 million player, and I was nervous, and that was a bit of a price tag that was a weight on my shoulders at the time. And Ray was just like, just forget about it, go out and play. And my game was very different then when I was a West Brom player, don't get me wrong, but I think if he'd have stayed around at West Brom, we could have gone on to brilliant things. We were top of the league when he left. He went on to manage QPR after that, and I loved it under Ray. We had a brilliant side, and I felt as though we were going to go on and say to good things. But I think Ray Harford, honestly, Ray was a brilliant manager, brilliant on the training ground, brilliant coach, and I think he had everything. And that's, I think you speak to Alan Shearer about him. Alan Shearer said he's the best coach that he played under. He was great. I used to love Ray. Yeah, Ray was brilliant.
It's good to hear a different name as well that many people might not be familiar with. Ray Harford, obviously, as you said, the success he had with Dalglish as well at Blackburn.
Yeah.
The five-a-side now, Kev, because I've asked them all to pick their five-a-side. So a goalie, 4 outfielders, or whatever way you want to do it, you're the boss, and you can pick yourself if you want.
Yeah. Do you know what? Are we allowed to pick? We can't pick a keeper. Keepers are nonsense. It's a nonsense position anyway, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Well, I know you're big mates with Shea. I thought Shea might have a chance getting in.
Well, if I'm going to pick a goalkeeper, but I'm not going to pick a goalkeeper. But if I was, I mentioned Nigel Martin before. Nigel was one of the best I think he's the best I would have played alongside at club level. Nigel was brilliant at Everton. Honestly, incredible keeper. I think he's the best Everton goalkeeper they've had since Neville Southall. If I look at England's current goalkeeper in Jordan Pickford, Nigel Martin's head and shoulders above Jordan Pickford. Way, way better. Just phenomenal goalkeeper. Honest to God, he was. But Shea was better. That's the thing. Shea actually was better. Shea was just, oh, what a goalkeeper. Reflexes, everything. Kicking. Shea was, maybe people criticise him a bit maybe for his latter years when he was at Villa and when he was playing at Stoke for a little bit as well. But Shea, agility-wise and reflex-wise, there was no one to touch him. Honestly, it was, and I always say this, it was something if you scored past him in training. Honestly, it was if you scored past him in training, it was an event. Honest to God, you go through a session where you just couldn't score past him, and Shea needed to rest himself half the time. There would be another goalkeeper who would go in, and the balls would be flying in the back of the net. I'm not saying which keepers that would have been going in goal, but no one's touched Shea. Absolutely nobody to touch Shea. So I'm having a rush goalkeeper. I'm going to have Roy Keane as my rush goalkeeper. So I'm going to pick my 5 best outfield players. Roy could have done that as well. He could have played goalkeeper. Or we could, and another one I'd have in. I'll give you my 5 quickly. Wayne Rooney, Roy Keane, Damien Duff, Robbie Keane, and Antonio Valencia. They're the best 5 I've played alongside.
Wow.
And Roy or Wayne could have actually gone in goals. Wayne used to love going in goals as well at training. So I've got a good blend of everything there. We've got Roy could play as a goalkeeper and build up from the back. We could have Antonio, we could have Wayne in the middle of the pitch, and we could have Damien just going, doing whatever he needed to do, and Robbie just putting the ball in the back of the net. But there's so many. I mentioned Gravison earlier on, who was incredible. Kevin Phillips, Emil Heskey was another who I really liked playing alongside. So if you want me to pick a goalkeeper, I'll pick Shea, and I will take Antonio Valencia out the side, and I'll have Shea in goal, Wayne Rooney, Roy Keane, Damien Duff, and Robbie Keane. That'll be me 5.
Wow. That's some 5-a-side, to be fair.
Yeah.
5. They give us a run for our money on a Wednesday morning.
Oh, I tell you, imagine playing against that side. Oh, honestly.
Some players, to be fair. Look, Clinton says you're cracked, you put in the keeper.
But I mean, as I say, keepers are, I used to think to them, who want to play in goal anyway? When you were a kid, the worst player was always the keeper, wasn't it? The goalkeeper, you stick him in goal, so keepers have got no right to. They've got no right to actually go and think they can actually coach a football team, have they?
100%. Kev, okay, we're going to leave it there. You've been absolutely brilliant. Before we go, I just want to reiterate that we're absolutely delighted for you, Brianne as well. I'm looking forward to.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. EJ's and Herbie Frog as well for letting us do it on the.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And I'll be back to my normal page tomorrow night. I have another.
Who's on tomorrow night? Who are you on with tomorrow?
I have Brian Murphy coming up, the goalkeeper.
Brilliant, yeah, good goalkeeper.
Alan Mabry, Enda Stevens, and I have a big surprise for Friday night. Sligo people will be chuffed to hear this one as well, Kev. You will also. This is going to rock the boat, right?
Oh, it surely can't be an ex-manager or something like that, no?
No, this is a big surprise for people now if they want to tune in Friday night.
Oh,
and
there you go. Keep us all in suspense.
Your good mate Andy Lee Saturday night.
Andy Lee, yeah, great man. I mean, you have to talk to him about Tyson Fury. He got more excited with Tyson Fury winning the World Championship the other week than he did when he won his own world title. He was like a big kid in the ring, yeah. So it was great. What a fella. What a man Andy is.
And before I let you go, I text Brian today, Brian Kerr, to tell him, just ask him how he was, and I texted him to say that you were coming on for the chat tonight, and he says, "Is that the Canadian ice skater?" And he said it like this.
And you know what? I have to say, I'll honest to God, I have to say, you mentioned the managers before. I actually feel guilty about not mentioning Brian because, again, because of Brian's background, because of where he's come from, Brian will never, ever get the recognition he deserves. Brian was a brilliant manager. Honestly, again, I'd probably say as a man manager, and what Brian did for me, I played my best football in an Irish jersey under Brian, without a doubt. I think I got Player of the Year under Brian, and Brian moved me position where I came inside a little bit, playing in a 3-man or a 2-man midfield. What a manager! You've played a lot under him. I would never be able to speak highly enough of the man for who he is, what he brings to football, certainly in our country. But we'll never ever recognise what a talented manager and how he used to see things that others could never see. So Brian is right up there. And Brian, I just hope that he's going to be part of our national game now for years to come, because if anyone deserves the recognition for what he brought to our game, it's Brian, because what a man. And I mean, genuinely, what a man. What he's done for me personally, he's a great man. Yeah,
I know you're great friends with him, and we all love Brian, but he said to me, "Is that the Canadian ice skater?" But
What a man.
Kev, look, you've been a good friend to me as well, and I appreciate your time. Tell Crabbers you've done well enough in the interview to earn him a suit. So
yeah, he's all right. Yeah, Crabbers, yeah, I've got you a suit there now, Cocker. There you go.
And yeah, listen, I'll talk to you soon, right, Kev?
Take it easy, Al. Thanks very much. Thanks for everything.
All the best.
All the best.